Hello everybody, Dylan Cliche here. Welcome to another episode of Dylan's Disney Movie Reviews. Once again, why don't we skip the prologue and get right on with the review? Released on March 20th, 1981, the movie is Amy. The film starts with a woman named Amy Medford, played by Jenny Agutter, leaving her husband because he objected her with his job, and she goes on a trip as the opening credits roll during the title song.
Oh, Amy, within your glow I see the sunny dreams that hide behind the clouds above. Let me know you. Let me glow too. Let me show you the many ways to love.
She soon arrives at Parker School for the Blind and Deaf for a job, and she is taken to her room.
Here we are. Could I get you something to eat?
No, thank you.
Well, you know where my office is. If there's anything at all you want, you just give me a holler.
Thank you.
The next day, Lyle Ferguson, played by the late Lou Fang, tells Amy about the students at the school, like Henry Watkins, played by Otto Reckenberg, who's deaf.
Henry Watkins. He wants you to know that his name sign is H on the eyes.
What does that mean?
Well, the H stands for Henry. Owen Corner, who teaches carpentry, gives all the deaf children and their teachers their name signs. For example, mine is F, as in Ferguson, on the forehead, because as superintendent, that's as high up as you can go.
Why H on the eyes?
I don't know, really. Perhaps it's because he's the only deaf child that plays with blind children and defends them, too, as you can see.
3 go to Owen's corner shop, where Owen, played by Kevin Van Wieringen, who is also deaf, gives Amy a name sign.
He said A on the lips because you're the speech teacher. Henry's saying that if you like, it can be A on the lips for you, but for him, it'll always be A pretty.
During class one day, Walter Ray, played by Ronnie Scribner, says that he doesn't feel good, so he's sent to Nurse Hazel's office.
Oh.
Walter Ray, where does it hurt?
Down here.
We better fetch the doctor, Hazel.
Oh, Amy, there's no doctor here.
The school has funds for a doctor or anything because their chapel burned down. So Dr. Ben Corcoran, played by the late Barry Newman, is called and gives Walter a checkup.
What's your name, lad?
Walter Ray?
Walter Ray, huh? Well, we're gonna find out what's been troubling you so much.
I think you ought to have some coffee.
May I suggest, dear lady, that you leave the practice of medicine, at which I am quite competent up to me, and go about your business, whatever that may be.
I'd like to stay, if you don't mind.
Well, I do mind. All right.
A few minutes later, Dr. Corcoran tells Amy that Walter had gotten into a barrel of green apples and it made his appendix feel like it was going to burst, but he'll be fine.
I see.
Okay, everybody in. Let's go. Come on.
I'm sorry to have bothered you. I'll pay you for your trouble.
I'll send you a bill.
Afterwards, Dr. Corcoran takes some of the students for a ride, and Miss Dodd, played by the late Annette Fabray, tells Amy something.
I think we'd better get a few things straight. You are an outsider. You don't know how our people are. And these children don't need your experiments. They don't need your words. They need to know how to cope, and they need simple skills.
But learning to speak can only benefit them.
You know they will never be accepted into society. They need to stay with their own kind. Now that is their reality. Words will give them nothing but frustration and heartache. It will give them false hopes. And I don't want my babies to leave here with hopes that can never be realized. Don't you have anything to say? Or are you as mute as your students?
Later, Amy shows some of the deaf students how to fly a kite with some help from Dr. Corcoran.
See? Simple principle of physics. Uh-huh. Got it. Here we go. Got it.
What are you doing here?
Well, what kind of a question is that? I came by here to see my patient.
Your patient is doing fine.
Well, then, maybe I came back to see you.
You could have saved yourself the trouble.
No trouble at all. Any Irishman worth his salt will drive 100 miles to see a beautiful lady. In your case, I'll make that 200.
I'm trying to teach a class.
Oh, well, yeah, go right ahead.
The kite then gets stuck in a tree, but they manage to get it out, and Amy teaches Henry how to say kite.
Kite. Go. Kite. Go. Kite. 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 Yes. Yes. Yes, kite. Say it again. Again. Yes. Kite.
She then lets Mr. Ferguson know.
Kite.
He can speak. He can say a word.
Kite. Kite.
One word. Do you really think one word is going to do him any good?
One word will lead to more. Don't you see?
Later, Wesley Moody, played by Corey Bumper Yothers, comes down with a sickness called rheumatic fever.
How bad is it?
It's bad.
A few days later, he dies and Amy's devastated.
Amy, he's dead.
No! Don't say that!
It's over, Amy. He's gone.
Let me go! No! 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 No!
Later, Mr. Grimes, played by Len Whalen, talks to Mr. Ferguson about letting his son, Mervyn, played by Brian Freshman, into the school.
I hear tell that you was able to help him, to teach him.
Well, we can teach deaf children when we get them young. It's just that 19 is... Well, it's just we can't take anyone that old.
Well, Mervyn here ain't much more than a baby. And his mama never did let him go nowheres. This here's the first time he was ever out of the hills. But you see, when his mama took sick, like to died, I knowed one day she would. And so would I. But now, how's he ever going to take care of himself with his mama and me both gone?
I'd like to help you, but our children are so much younger. I'm not even sure he could make the adjustment.
I know he's big, but he never would hurt one of them young'uns. No, sir. That's one thing Mervyn knowed. He ain't never to touch no child younger than him.
Later, Amy teaches Henry how to say mother since his mother is coming to see him.
Now you try it.
Let's try this now. Watch my mouth. My tongue is in between my teeth. No. The vibrations. Good. Again. Ma. Ma. Now put it all together. Mother. Ma. Do. That's wonderful.
One day, Dr. Ben takes Amy and some of the kids out for a picnic, during which Henry is asked by another boy if he wants to play football.
I said, do you want to play with us? Hey, what's the matter with him? Is he crazy or something?
He can't hear you. Thank you.
What's wrong with him?
What a dummy. Yeah. What a guy's deep.
Deaf and dumb.
Hey, do you guys remember what the score was?
What do you think he's saying?
Right, 41. 41. Sit. Hey, hey.
I think he wants to learn to play football. Huh?
After that, Ben gives the students football lessons.
Understand? Good. They feel it.
Sometime later, Virgil Goodloe, played by the late Lonnie Chapman, talks to Lyle and Amy about their boys playing against his.
Just a football game, Mr. Goodloe.
Hendrick's boys against Parker's.
Oh, your boys can't compete with mine. They're good. They practice every day. They beat the pants off your boys.
Then you haven't got anything to worry about.
Lyle, the parents would have a fit. You know how people around here feel about the deaf? You can't mix them. People just don't know how to act.
Virgil, it's our children who are taking the risk, not yours.
You're putting me in a bad spot, Lyle.
Please, Mr. Goodloe. Take a chance.
Okay, I'm asking. All right, here we go. There we go.
In the world will I tell the parents?
Later, the boys have a football game.
Run, Parker, run!
Oh, I was still ahead. Okay, all right.
The Parker boys win the game. Later, Ben tells Amy something about his childhood.
When I was very young, we had a summer house by the sea. And there was a walnut grove. A walnut grove that led from our house to the water. I spent much of my time there in that grove. The trees were thick and warm and brown, like your hair. And through the leaves, you could see the sea. And sometimes green, and sometimes gray, and sometimes very blue. But always, always glistening, like your eyes.
You must have been very happy then.
I used to wish that I never had to leave.
And is that where you fell in love for the first time, when you were a boy?
You're very perceptive. Yeah, I was 11, and I fell madly in love forever.
What happened?
I grew up.
Then, as Amy starts to head out, she mentions to Ben that she has a husband.
It doesn't matter.
How can you say that?
I see what's in your face, in your eyes.
I shouldn't be here.
Look, Amy, whenever we start to get close, you walk away, you change the subject. You don't want to face what you're feeling.
Please.
Amy, you can't keep running forever.
What's wrong, Ben?
The only thing that's wrong is to deny how we feel.
One day during class, Henry's visited by his parents and he reveals that he can say mother.
Mother. Henry? Is that my Henry? Henry? Talking? Oh, praise be, he's talking. Mother. Oh, thank God. Mother. Thank God.
Amy, come with me, please.
Lyle then mentions to Amy that Henry's mother is blind, which is why he feels close to the blind students.
That's why he wants so badly to speak. Until now, they've had no way to communicate with each other.
Oh, Henry, my Henry. Mother.
That's why his H on the eyes.
Oh, I've never heard my son speak.
Later, Lyle's in a meeting and Mr. Carruthers, played by the late Norman Burden, says the program's funding should be terminated.
You have abused your position, Superintendent. You have set yourself and this board up for ridicule.
Mr. Carruthers, football games are normal activities in many schools.
They provide our youth with the opportunity to...
Your school does not deal with normal youngsters. Parker School was founded to provide education and work skills for deaf, dumb, and blind children, not ball games.
Sir, these children are normal. It is only their hearing or their sight that is impaired.
We do not need you to tell us what sort of children are sent to your school. We here are well aware.
Running a school for these children requires more than just the bare necessities. It is unpardonable that we do not have a doctor there on a regular basis, that we lack the standard equipment that schools for hearing and sighted children have without question, and as for teaching speech.
Carruthers then mentions that it's impossible for deaf people to speak. So Amy brings Henry to prove to Carruthers that he's wrong.
Henry, tell them your name. It's all right. Tell them your name.
This is an outrageous display of theatrics. The child is being used, not helped.
If you will just wait 1 minute.
Madam, for 34 years, Parker School has survived within the framework that this board has set up. And no variation is going to be allowed.
You are frightening the child with your display of anger.
And you are an impudent woman. You are turning this meeting into a circus. Everyone knows that the deaf cannot speak.
Yes, I can.
What?
We need your help. Please.
One day, while out with Ben, he tells Amy that he loves her.
I'd like to even more if I could find you.
I love you too, Ben Corcoran.
I love you, Amy Medford.
Amy returns to the school, and Lyle shows her a letter from the Bookman Detective Agency wondering where she is.
I think you better tell me about it.
He's my husband.
Why didn't you tell me you were married?
I didn't want him to find out where I am.
You mean you left him?
Yes,
But what about the letter of recommendation from the Horace Mann School?
I forged it. When I saw your letter on the bulletin board, looking for a speech teacher, I knew I had to have that job, so I made everything up. They never knew I applied for your job.
Amy, we can't afford a scandal. If the state board finds
I never
out...
thought he'd find me here. Please. He'll make me go back. I couldn't bear that.
Perhaps if you wrote to him, explained how you feel.
I never have been able to tell him how I feel. He never listened to me.
But since you've been away, perhaps you'd realize.
I was just something that he owned, like a painting or a stamp collection. A useless ornament. And he wanted me that way. Because it made him feel like more of a man.
At Christmas time, Amy goes to get the angel that goes on top of the tree, but she accidentally drops it, it breaks, and she cries. Then Just George, played by David Hollander, comes in and cheers her up.
Don't be sad. Soon it's gonna be Christmas.
You're right. Come and I'll take you back.
Amy then asks him how he got the name Just George.
Well, I grew up at the country poorhouse. See, I didn't have no folks. Well, I guess I did once, except they throwed me away by the side of the road. Well, at the poorhouse, they started calling me George. Then one day, they said I had to have a last name. I said, no, I'm just George. I didn't come with no last name.
I think Just George is a wonderful name.
Thank you kindly.
Just George, when are you going to take that eye patch off your ear?
Well, like you said, when I do a good deed. Only I ain't been able to find one to do.
Yes, you have. Look at what you gave me.
You're smiling.
Yes. You gave me that smile. Not everyone can do that, you know. It's a very special gift. Thank you.
On Christmas Eve, Ben reads Amy a poem.
The sun's bright blessing sanctifies the land with flowers, fawns, and mountains, wide and wild. Yet all this glory pales and cannot stand before the radiant magic of your smile.
That's beautiful. Is it Yeats?
Well, I'm flattered. No, it's Corcoran.
Later, Elliot Medford, played by Chris Robinson, arrives and asks Marvina if Amy Medford is there.
I beg your pardon.
I'm looking for her. I'm her husband.
I'm sorry. No, there's no one here by that name.
Do you work here?
I am the matron for the deaf.
I see.
Malvina, did you find...
Amy.
I'm sorry.
Hello, Elliot.
Is that all you have to say? Amy, I've been so worried about you.
I'm fine, Elliot.
Is there a place we can talk?
Amy takes Elliot into her room and tells him that she won't go home with him.
Amy, you're my wife. We have a very good marriage.
I didn't mean to hurt you. The day I left, I had reasons why I couldn't stay with you anymore. But now my reasons are different. My life just has nothing to do with you now.
Amy, I can give you anything you want.
I have my work. I have my friends. And the children who need me.
You've met another man.
It has nothing to do with a man. It has to do with what I want to do with my life. It has to do with feeling worthwhile.
You don't discard a marriage like you do last year's dress.
I tried it your way, Elliot. For 10 years. Now I have to try it mine.
Amy, I can change. I know you don't think I'm capable of that, but I can change.
Doesn't matter.
We could have another child.
Please.
Amy's then told that Mervyn ran away and Henry went after him.
We can't find him anywhere.
Amy.
I can't answer that question, but both the boys are gone, and they can get lost very easily at night.
Where do you think they went?
Well, my guess is that Mervyn's trying to find his way home and that Henry's trying to stop him.
But does he know his way home?
It's hard to tell what he knows, except that he's from the other side of Hendricks down by the railroad tracks.
My God. They could be running down the track, but neither of them can hear the train.
You better get Ben.
Yes.
Mervyn's running away and Henry's running after him. Mervyn gets run over by the train and dies. His parents arrive, and Mrs. Grimes, played by the late Peggy McKay, thinks that deaf people can't be taught, and then Henry talks.
Friend. My friend.
You from that there school?
I'm the superintendent.
Is he want a yarn?
Yes, he is.
Tell them your name.
My name is Henry Watkins. I go to Parker School.
Is he deaf?
Totally deaf. He's learning to speak.
Now, you see, Ma, I told you they could teach him.
Mr. and Mrs. Grimes then tell Amy about their daughter Pearl, who is deaf, and ask her to teach her to speak. Amy returns to the school where Elliot has packed her things and she refuses to go home with him.
Of course you're going back with me.
You just don't listen to me, do you? For a long time I blamed you for that. I blamed you for taking our son away. I blamed you for always criticizing me, for treating me like a child who could never do anything right. I don't blame you anymore. I allowed you to do those things to me. I'm not going to allow you to do that anymore.
Amy, come on.
I taught him that. He taught me something, too. He taught me I had value, because when I came here, I was more handicapped than he.
Don't talk nonsense. You're my wife. We belong to each other. Amy, I won't let you do this.
If you fight me, if you make it impossible for me to stay here, I'll find another school, and another, until you finally hear me and realize that I mean what I say.
Amy, you belong to me.
I belong to myself.
Amy and Henry then go downstairs and Elliot leaves.
So many ways to speak.
And that was Amy. What are my thoughts on it? It's pretty good. In the end, I give it 3.5 stars out of 5. Well, that's it for Amy. Be sure to join me next week when I'll be reviewing Disney's third adaptation of Mark Twain's A Connecticut Night in King Arthur's Court. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell your friends about me, leave some questions in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that like button.
So many ways to speak. So many ways to hear. Those things that hide inside the heart that words cannot make clear. So many words are wrong when silence says so much. You
Now, you sure you can drive that thing, huh?
Well, if I can't, I'm in big trouble because I'm too drunk to walk home.